Are we on the air?
Ruh-roh.
Hey guys, what up and welcome back to the channel. Halloween weekend is over. We're back in the shop today and Wayne got the orange car wired and we just did the first fire up on it. See everything smoking off the headers. We got the console out. We're gonna just finish up the wiring there and this car will be ready to go. All right, so we got the orange car out. The twisted blue car is coming in. So this thing's gonna get monster arms. We're gonna cut the roof off, redo the roof, maybe update it a little bit. Again, redo the rear clip, more new trunk wing. A little Billy Idol action. Sand limo inside. Got an out front Subi. We got the little two-seater in here. This is a E85 Turbo Ecotec. This used to be Joe's single-seater. He took everything from the single-seater and made a two-seater out of it, and then somebody made him an offer he couldn't refuse, and off it went. So it's got a fuel pump issue. Keeps popping the relay. We're going to take a look at it real quick. See if we can't get it fixed. It's got an old A1000 in it, so it's probably clogged up. It's an E85 car, so we'll check the filters out too. All right, so I jumped into troubleshooting this thing, and looks like we had a blown fuse for the fuel pump and the relay took a dump, and that thing's pretty smoked. That's a really good indicator of a bad fuel pump. This old A1000 that's in here is probably on its last legs, and it's starting to trip the fuse. So we went ahead and just ordered a new A1000 for it, and we'll get a new relay in it and get these guys back out in the dunes. All right, and then we got my S-box pushed back into the shop, and we're gonna get back to work on that. I got the coilovers for it. So we'll get back to work on this later on in the week and try to get this thing banged out and back in the dunes. Hey guys, so we're back again. Working on my car. So other than just putting the upper shock mounts on, you've got to build some cover plates. I showed you in the last video when we were working on my car. So I've got these made. We're going to TIG weld those in. And then you also have to add another down bar here. So we're going to add this down bar to the chassis, and then we're going to send another bar from here right down to here. So it transfers all the load down back into the chassis so these things don't just break off. So we got all this made up. I'm gonna take the floors out. I gotta get the torch out and torch off all the powder coat, get them tacked in place, and then Fab's gonna come over here and weld them all up for me. He'll go up here and TIG weld these. I did the same thing on the other side, got the tube coped out. We'll get it torched out and welded in and get that other piece made that comes down to here. And the reason we did it like this is so my panels will still fit over here. You won't see this. I'll just have to notch my panel for this upper one here, which we'll have to notch them for the upper shock mount anyhow. So, all right, guys, we're gonna get back to work on this thing and try to get her knocked out. All right, so we got the floors out, got them pulled back so we can get the torch in here and torch off all this powder coat. Same thing on the other side, got the floor out and pulled back, move the battery. We're gonna go ahead and torch this up, and then we'll get these shock support bars welded in. So guys, I wanted to throw a quick shop update here in the middle of this video too. You saw us pushing that blue car into the shop yesterday, and here it is already. I mean, Joe don't mess around. He's got this whole thing shredded and torn down. Just about ready to pull the motor out. He cut the rear clip off, figured everything out where we're gonna go. He's draining the coolant. He's got all his measurements taken. So what we're gonna end up doing to this car is probably cutting the, I don't know if you can see how bent that tube is. We're probably gonna cut it here first, remove the whole roof, and then we're gonna cut it probably right here right down below the windshield frame. We don't want to get into this bar or this bar if we don't have to, because then that changes the whole geometry of how the dash fits and everything, and this thing's fits, you know, like a glove perfectly. So we'll probably cut it right here below where the windshield bolts on and extend it from there. This side's pushed over, as you can see. So we'll get the roof back on. We'll cut the shock mounts off also to take the roof off. But then what we do in the rear is we leave the limit straps hooked up, because it puts tension on all of this area down here. So once we cut all this off, these coilovers will lay right back in the same spot when we start adding the new tubes to the roof. So works out good. Dash just comes right out and sits on the side, and he's going to get this thing cut up here in a few minutes. And we go back over to this side of the shop. We got two GP105s here. We got the one for gear one, which is right here. We're still waiting on the transmission for that. And then here's the one that I kind of didn't really want to talk about. This is the GP105 that we just finished. Twin turbo Honda. We set it up, and unfortunately that happened. And that happened. We actually windowed it on both sides of the block. We delivered the car to the customer. He took it for a ride, boosted on it pretty hard a couple times, and off she went. I've got the boost cut set at 9 pounds, and I've got 7-pound springs in the gate, so it didn't overboost. It wasn't too much for this motor. This motor came with this chassis. It came from a customer, and we don't know the origin of the motor. We know it wasn't a sand car prior to us putting it in this car. And when I went to turn it over and dry fire it, you could hear that it was kind of a dead on a cylinder. It kind of went da-da-da-da-whoop, so it kept dropping out of the cylinder. Once the motor fired up and warmed up, that cylinder came back. I thought it might have been some stuck rings or something, but turns out that it had some more issues than that. So rather than pop another Honda V6 just right back in this car, we went ahead and bought another one. It's in the back of my truck. I'm going to tear it down. We're going to send it out and sleeve it. I'm going to contact the guys over at P2R, get a set of rods and pistons, and then we're going to switch this car to E85 and really turn it up. We're shooting for roughly 700 horsepower with this car. So yeah, that's what's next for this car. You guys can follow along with my build on that J35. I'll be doing all the assembly on the motor, put the heads on, all that stuff. So you guys stick around. We're going to jump back over to the other side of the shop here, get back to work on my car. I'm going to get the torch out, burn all this stuff off, and get it ready for Joe to weld. There we go. So I know a lot of you guys might be wondering why we use a torch to torch off powder coat. Some of you guys may know, some of you don't. Some people ask why we don't grind it off. Well, on cars like this that are going to get repowder coated, we don't want to use a grinder and grind off any of the powder coating because it puts grind marks in the steel. So then when you go to powder coat it, you got scratch marks everywhere. So we just use a torch and burn it right off, and you can weld right to it. So those of you guys that were asking, that's the reason. And we made the down tubes to come off the bottom of this mount to the tube that we added. It'll help transfer all the load into the chassis there. So, all right, so I got them tacked in, and Joe's just gonna come burn them in. And then I'm gonna have to trim my side panels around this, but you know, it's a good trade-off. All right, so we got the down tubes welded in, and this thing's all ready to be put back together. So we'll be back over here tomorrow after work, and should be able to get this thing in rolling shape again. So we'll be back tomorrow, and that's it for today, guys. Today we're doing something a little different. We're over at the my buddy's outdoor shop where we put my Honda together, and we've got quite a few cars lined up here that are all getting prepped for the season. This is Barry's car. This thing just got torn down and repowder coated, and we're right in the middle of rewiring this car right now. We're working on that. Robert and I are working on that today. And then this is another friend's car. They just back half this car and put a Mendiola in it. It had a bus in it, and as you guys can see, he's going to be another candidate for probably rewiring this whole car eventually. So we're going to jump into work on this red car and start getting more of this wiring buttoned up. All right, so we're plugging away at the wiring here. Give you guys an up close look. This box is kind of like Switch Pros. It puts a switch panel up here. We can label everything. Barry back there working on the battery. Berto heat shrinking the wires in the back. We should have this thing knocked out in a short time. So this guy will be back in the dunes before you know it. All right, so we're running out of daylight over here. We've got to order some more parts, so we'll be back. Don't be hiding. I see you guys hiding, running from the camera. We got to order some more parts. They'll be in tomorrow, and then we'll get back on the chicken, the flaming chicken. That's what we call this, right?
Yep. Used to be cock-a-doodle.
Hey guys, so we're on our way back over to the shop. Those parts came in that we need to finish wiring up that red car. So I'm also going to take the seat from my Bug. You guys can see I took the seat out. It was a little twisted up. I need to cut the frame and fix that. It's definitely Volkswagen weather, so I can start driving this thing again. It's nice and cool outside. So I'm going to get that seat fixed today, and then we're going to take this thing to the dyno. I think we're going to go to competition engineering. We're going to turn the boost up, and we'll make some real power on this thing. But for now, we're going to head back on over to the shop and get back to wiring on that car. So guys, I know it seems kind of chaotic that we jump around from car to car to car without actually finishing one completely. And you know, sometimes that's just how it works. Sometimes we have parts for one car and not for another. So, and I've got so many irons in the fire with so many projects and helping my other buddies with their projects that I'm just all over the place. So I was just getting ready to get caught up, and then I just had another car from California get delivered. It's going to be up for sale pretty soon. We're going to be going through that, cleaning out the fuel system and getting it ready to go. So yeah guys, we jump around all over the place, and I know it seems chaotic, but there is a method to the madness of getting these cars done and ready for the season. So I stick around. We're going to be arriving here at the shop in a minute. So guys, check this out. That's what we're paying for diesel fuel in Arizona. And those are your regular $4.65 for unleaded. So let me jump back in the truck here. When I was younger, I don't want to age myself, but one of my first jobs was working at a Chevron station in Southern California. And unleaded gas was 89 cents a gallon. And I think diesel was like 42 cents a gallon. So we definitely come a long way in the with the fuel prices. But I just can't believe what fuel prices we have here in Arizona right now. It's ridiculous. All right, so we're back over here working on the call this car the Flaming Chicken. That powder coat just came out friggin' amazing, beautiful. So we got some parts on their way in. They should be here today. We took the intercom out because we're gonna send that into PCI, and we're gonna add the Bluetooth option to that. So I'm gonna probably send mine in at the same time. I got everything prepped for the seat heaters, ready to go. I'm gonna power those up. We got to get the seat heaters installed in the seats, so we have to pull the covers back a little bit and get those put in. And we should be able to pretty much test everything on this today by the time we're done and fire everything up. We'll get the light bar mounted up here. Everything's been wired and ready up here, so we should be able to have this car completely wired today and ready for the Honda to go back into it. This car's on a Honda V6, just like most of the cars I work on. That motor's right here. While it's out, we're going to put a new rear main seal in it. And this car had an issue with the cam sensor wiring. It was bad. So I got another cam sensor here for it. So once we put the motor back in, I'll pull off the exhaust and pull all the timing gear off and put that other cam sensor in there. And this car should be ready to go. Then there's this car. This is Cliff's car. He just, what did he do to this car this season? He sent the trans out. The trans got refreshed. It's brand new and ready to go. They just need to grease the CVs, and this thing will be ready to put back together as well and be ready for the season. Axles and everything are in already, so I think he's doing a little bit of wiring in this car, changing out some headset stuff, and then he's going to put his seats back in. So this one will be ready to go. That one will be ready to go, and then we've got Brad's car over here. Brad's also in the group that we Dune with. Another Honda V6 car. J35. He just got a brand new tranny. This car was a bus tranny, and we just put a Mendiola 2D in it. Joe Fab did that over at the shop at San Lamo. So it's got to be put back together, and all this wiring's got to get cleaned up. So they should be working on this later on today. But in the meantime, we are going to get this thing finished up and ready to go. So we finished up the wiring. We got the switch assembly back in. Got everything tie wrapped nice along with the brake lines up here. So we turn on the disconnect switch. Everything lights up. Got your ignition power, GPS power. This car has onboard air, so we're going to use that one for the air. Front lights, that includes the running lights and the front headlights. Got one for the light bar, one for the whip, and one that turns on the radio. And then we'll have one spare here. So this is a cool little setup. It's about a 1/16 of the cost of a Switch Pro's. It does not have Bluetooth capability, but I mean, in the grand scheme of things, does that really matter? Not really. So for the cost, I think these things are what, $100, and it's all solid state. All the relays are sealed inside, so you can get dirt, water, sand in there. It's not going to kill the thing. So we're about wrapped up on this car for the day. We'll get back to it later on in the week. Robert's going to finish up the back wiring back here and the seat heaters, and then we're going to get the motor back in, and this thing will be just about done. All right, guys, so here's the car I was talking about earlier. This is the one that got delivered to me from my buddy in California. We're not sure what kind of car this is. Pull the tarp off of here. I think it might be an RFR car. I'm not sure. He bought this car as a roller. Oh, geez, I don't know, 10 years ago. And then we slowly put the whole car together, and he's never duned it. He's never duned this car since he's owned it. So A back injury forced him to not be able to drive this car. Like, we never even put back seat belts in it. So anyhow, it's got bad gas in it. I'm going to drain the fuel out of this thing and get it running again. It's got a 5.3 LS in it behind a Mendiola 2D. So these LS and 2D cars are bringing quite a bit of money these days. We're also going to pull all these side panels off and the roof off and the hood off. I'm going to take this stuff to a stripper and have it stripped and then have it repowder coated black. So that way it looks all fresh and clean. And get this No Fear logo off the back of this from the early 90s. So yeah, like I said, guys, it never stops here. Just constantly doing stuff and wrenching on cars. And as you can see, my Chevelle got pushed further out behind the dirt pile. So we're going to try to get to that this week as well. Just got so much going on. I've got to get over and get the front wheels put on my car and get the shocks put in. And we'll get back to work on that thing tomorrow. All right, jumping back and forth. We've got my seat welded up over at the shop today. So we're going to pull it out of the back of the truck and get it put in the car so we can go drive it. And then we picked this a fresh unit up for that GP105 that we just blew up. I'm going to strip this whole motor down, take it apart. I'm going to send the block out and get it sleeved. We're going to put a set of P2R rods and pistons in this thing, a set of valve springs, and we're going to build this so we can turn the boost up on that car. Customer just said, go for it. All right, guys, now that we got the seat put back in the car, it's been sitting for so long, I'm going to take her for a little rip and take you guys with it. All right, guys, I don't know how well you can see us the way the camera's set up like that, but see, I got Mama with us. And we're gonna go for just a little cruise. So we had another successful test ride in the Bug. Again, like I said, it's fast. I mean, it's quick, don't get me wrong. It'll spin the tires in third gear, but not quite what we're used to in the Honda world. And you know, when I had a built Bug back in the day, maybe I just have gotten older and I'm not used to it anymore. It just seems slow. But like I said, this thing's only on 7 pounds of boost, so we're definitely going to turn it up. We're going to get it on E85. I'm going to call Competition Engineering this week and see if they can get me in on a dyno appointment. They've been dynoing Volkswagens and doing this stuff on Bugs for longer than I've been born. So they're the guys to go to out here in Arizona. If I was local to SoCal, again, I'd go right back to CarCraft because they're the kind of the go-to guys there. So that's going to do it for this episode, guys. I know it's been all over the place, everywhere, right?
Everywhere.
Yeah, so car after different car, and it's just kind of how we do things here. So once again, guys, thanks for watching. Make sure you give us a like and a subscribe, and we will see you in the next video. Thanks.